Disputed Islands in the East China Sea by Michelle, Bell, and Ide. There is a dispute and we will tell you about the situation. There are a group of islands which are on the Chinese continental shelf located in the East China Sea, in between Japan, China, and Taiwan. These islands are rich with fish, gas, and oil.
The history of these islands come mainly from Japan and China. China and Japan are both fighting to own these islands. The Japanese family used to own the islands, but then chose to sell it to the Japanese government. China and Japan are involved in this situation. Taiwan was also involved, but not as much as China and Japan. Both countries are arguing because they want resources such as fish, gas, oil, and land. Who should own these disputed islands? I personally think Japan.
I think Japan should own them. I agree with both of them. Japan should own the islands. Why does Japan feel entitled to these islands?
Japan said that they had bought the islands from a Japanese family. After UN held on to it, UN decided to return it back to Japan.
Historically, Japan used to own it. Why does China feel entitled to these islands?
China feels entitled to these islands because they claim that they had discovered the island first. China said that the islands were mentioned in the document published during the Ming Dynasty. The islands as we said, on the continental shelf.
Who do you support and why? I think the islands should go to Japan because Japan is not as big as China. And if China gets it, it could look greedy and get Japan to enter a war that it won't survive. And if Japan gets it, it will have more abilities to survive war if a conflict like this gets worse. And also I think Japan should get it to sustain an economy even after tsunamis because China is huge and has a rising economy.
I think that Japan should own it, but I also think that they should leave the island alone. The reason I think Japan should claim it is because China is already big enough and it would be fair if Japan gets more land. Also, the government had bought it. UN returned it to Japan, not China.
I think that Japan should own the islands or divide it in half because both countries want it and have done and wasted a lot of things or resources such as money and lots more. But if I really had to choose, I think that Japan should get it because those islands used to belong to a Japanese family. Also, the Japanese government bought the islands already, so I think that Japan should get the islands. Another reason is that China is already a huge country with a massive population. That's why I chose Japan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.